Hey parents, today we're going to talk about how to help your teen build confidence when they're dealing with depression. Because you've probably noticed that it seems a lot harder for your teen to build their confidence than maybe some of their peers. And that's because there are specific obstacles going on with depression that make it a lot more challenging. So, those are the things that we're going to learn how to overcome today. So, you've probably tried all kinds of ways of helping your teen build their confidence. You've probably tried encouraging them, reassuring them, and saying, like, look, these concerns you have, they're really no big deal. You just need to kind of get over it. You've probably tried just telling them, like, you're awesome and I don't get it. Like, you're a really awesome person. Why don't you see that? Or maybe you've even said things like, if you just stop doing X, Y, and Z, you'd probably feel a lot more confident. And despite all of these pep talks and these discussions, you really don't feel like you're getting anywhere with them. And why is that? It's because a big part of what's happening neurologically in the brain of a depressed person is that the brain gets stuck in this mode of hypernegativity. And that hypernegativity causes the brain to be searching for problems all of the time and constantly jumping to the conclusion that that problem stems with me. And obviously, that makes it very hard to build confidence because confidence is all about feeling self assured. And so, how do you do that?
Hey y'all, my name is Ashley Waknine. I'm a licensed mental health counselor and a nationally recognized life coach for teenagers and young adults. I wanted to take a second to introduce myself and this channel. On this channel, I'm helping parents support a teenage daughter through depression and anxiety. I'm taking all of my years of experience in private practice and equipping you with the skills and knowledge you need to help your daughter make progress. If that seems of interest to you, you'll want to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button so you're notified every time I post a new video.
So, one of the things we know about teens with depression is the majority of them have a history of either past negative experiences or traumatic experiences, and that there are kind of lessons learned from these experiences that start to form a negative sense of self. And as they start to identify with these belief systems like, I'm bad, I can't be successful, I will always screw up, they start to lose faith in themselves and it becomes very difficult to build self confidence. And the other very hard thing about depression is that it's actually a very logical disorder. The problem is that the logic that's involved with depression is stemming from a belief system that is very shame based. So, for example, let's say that your child dealt a lot with bullying throughout middle school, and the kind of takeaway for them around that was, I'm unwanted. People don't like me, and I can't maintain relationships. Logic says that because of these things, I should stay in my room. I should prioritize virtual relationships. That if I were to actually pursue in person meaningful relationships, I would eventually be unwanted. So then, as a parent, you step back and you're looking at this, and it's really concerning because you can see that this is a self fulfilling prophecy, right? If my kid can't build meaningful relationships because they think they're unwanted, that whole lifestyle reinforces the belief system. So, this is something else that we need to understand about the way that beliefs are formed. So, beliefs are sort of the lessons learned from emotionally charged experiences. And so, the more emotional an experience is, the more that emotion kind of grips onto a belief and holds onto it really, really tight. And you've probably had experiences yourself. Like if you think about times when you're really angry with somebody, the more emotional you feel, the more stubborn your mindset kind of becomes, the more staunchly convinced of your beliefs and your perspective you feel, and the harder it is to see alternative points of view. And so, this is sort of what's happening in the brain of a depressed teen. It's like they've had these negative experiences that were really emotionally charged, that emotion gripped onto a belief, and they've never been able to release the emotionality around that belief system. And so they've never processed and released the emotions from the past. And so they kind of get stuck there, and the brain starts to feel very stuck. And this is also something that you may be able to relate to if you've ever been very emotional about something and you've allowed yourself to kind of Get it all out, release the emotion, scream, cry until everything is depleted. What you notice is that after that experience, you're very calm. Your mind is very still. It's actually much easier to think objectively. And so that's kind of where we want to get to with your teen when you're helping them build self confidence is that step one cannot be trying to convince them or using logic or trying to help them with an alternative perspective. You have to actually develop their ability to experience emotions, release emotions, identify the belief system that is being gripped by the emotion. And so you have to deal with things on the emotional level and allow that emotion to be released before you can make any headway. So there are a few paths to progress here, and I recommend going down all of them. But they are all about emotional expression. But a precursor to emotional expression is that your teen has to actually be able to notice and name their emotions. They have to have a vocabulary for emotions in order to be able to release and express. And that is where things can get a little bit challenging. A lot of teens don't have a vocabulary around, like, oh, I am feeling this way right now. They have a tendency, people with depression, to depress how they're feeling, not notice and recognize how they're feeling. So we need to help them get very good at that. So some of the paths for emotional expression and building that vocabulary around emotionality are things like encouraging journaling, of course, or anything that helps with emotional expression. Therapy is awesome, of course, because a trained therapist can help them build the vocabulary and get comfortable in the context of a safe, confidential environment to express how they're feeling. But they can also deal with past experiences, deal with, where did these emotions stem from? How did you feel in those situations? What kind of lessons did you derive from those experiences? How have they shaped your beliefs and your sense of identity? And then going back and reframing, what are some other conclusions you could have drawn? How can we rewrite history so that you are not so shamely gripped? So, therapy is something that I highly recommend. And then in your own parenting, you definitely want to be making sure you have a very strong connection with your teen and that you have opportunities where it's just the two of you and you have a very safe, comfortable, easy sort of environment between yourselves that your teen can open up and talk to you about how they feel. And that in those times, whether that's on a walk or when you're driving or wherever those instances become for you in your relationship, that you are very focused on being the listener at those times. That these are not times that are about problem solving. You're not trying to fix your child's emotions. You can't. You're helping them notice and express their emotions, just being able to talk openly to you. And so, uh, as the listener, and I have a couple of other videos that dive very deeply into this, but you want to be focusing on reflective listening. So, reflective listening is when you are essentially being a mirror to your teen and objectively reflecting back what you hear them saying, what you think they're thinking, and how you think they're feeling. So, there are a number of benefits to you in prioritizing reflective listening. So, first of all, it's going to help your teen feel understood and listened to, which is going to deepen your relationship. It's also going to facilitate emotional expression. And it's also going to help your teen build their vocabulary and build their self awareness around emotionality. Because with reflective listening, you're not going to be sitting there asking them, how are you feeling? Tell me how you're feeling. You're going to be reflecting to them what you perceive that they're feeling. Wow, it seems like you must be feeling really sad, angry, ashamed, guilty, embarrassed, alone, like all of these different emotions. And so you are helping them build their vocabulary when you're reflecting, and hopefully they are confirming, yes, yes, this is what I'm feeling, and it's helping them identify it. Or they're saying to you, no, that's not quite right. I'm actually feeling this way, and they're correcting you. And all of that is building that vocabulary. And then from building the vocabulary around emotions, you can also start reflecting the beliefs. Gosh, it seems like you don't believe you're even capable of having friends. Is that right? And they're confirming, yes, yes, that is what I've been believing. That is how I'm feeling. And then you can offer compassion for the fact that they're even thinking and feeling and believing this way. And so if this is a process that feels a little bit overwhelming, um, just go into this knowing that this is something that's going to take some time. As I said, a lot of teens who are dealing with depressions, they're it's not in their nature to be expressing their feelings. They generally tend to depress how they feel, and so it takes a real specific kind of environment that feels very comfortable and natural for them to start opening up. And so it might not be until like the fifth, sixth, seventh time that you have these kinds of conversations that you start to really get anywhere. And if you're feeling frustrated, this too is why we have the parenting depressed teens coaching community. So definitely reach out and let me know if that's something that you are interested in becoming involved in. And we do a lot of role playing and helping you through building this kind of communication and relationship. So let's get a conversation going in the comments. Tell me how you're feeling about this, because I'm aware of the fact that, this isn't one of those videos that's like, here are 5 ways to help your teen feel self-confident. And, it's just not going to work like that. There's so much more to it, especially when you're dealing with depression. So how is this landing with you? I would love to know. So once your teen starts opening up and you've got a lot of good emotional expression going on, you can then start to shift the conversation into a more mindset focused topic and start to do some educating and coaching and guiding them towards building self confidence. And this is where it might be helpful for you to impart some things on them. Like, if you do use clinical language with them, you could talk about the depressed mind and the nature of the depressed mind and sort of normalize that for them. You could also start to share with them what we call shame-based belief systems and what shame-based belief systems are. You could say, a lot of what I hear you talking about feels to me like a shame-based belief system. And shame-based beliefs are when we believe that we can't do something that other people can. We can't do something that we should be able to do that other people can. And that those belief systems usually stem from past experiences where we were made to feel that way. And if we're not careful, we can rob ourselves of the opportunity of ever moving beyond the past by getting connected and identified with those beliefs, never allowing ourselves to move beyond it and learn and grow. And so you can say to your teen, like, look, there is a part of you that feels like it is impossible for you to make friends. And that makes sense because that's the part of you that went through all of those horrible times in middle school, for example, right? But there is another part of you that's actually really good at learning and has learned so many things in your life and that doesn't deserve to be so tied to the things that have happened in the past. And that part of you can help you learn how to have meaningful relationships here. And like the part of you that's been through stuff and is really identified with the idea that it's impossible for you is going to try and fight you every step of the way. Like if you go out and you say hi to somebody, it's going to say like the tone that you used or the facial expression you use, like it's going to micromanage you and tell you that it's not good enough. And that's kind of just what happens, that's normal. And not to allow that to get in the way of you learning how to have meaningful relationships and not having to live inside the bubble of a shame-based identity. So hopefully through this process, you can help your teen get to a point where they're ready to take some small steps outside of their belief system and start learning to grow in their confidence in a particular area. And I would have them commit to actions that move them in that direction that they're like 80% certain they can follow through upon, so that you're not reinforcing some of these negative beliefs so much. So start small and gradual, give, positive reinforcement as they go along, and start to guide them beyond the comfort zone of their current belief system. But something else that is also important, I think, from a parenting standpoint, is for you to maintain a kind of bird's eye meta perspective on your teen and the way that they're going about their life. Because as we've already talked about, the belief systems that they're staunchly connected to, the logic of the way that they operate and go about their daily life is reflective of those belief systems. And so you don't want to be reinforcing that in any kind of way. So, what I'm thinking about, for example, is like, let's say your teen is really hiding in their room a lot and they're not involved in any kinds of activities. That you are not allowing that to continue, because that is going to be reinforcing the belief system, as we've talked about, the lifestyle that they're living. And so the ability to be able to say to your teen, like, I have this uh, perspective that you might not appreciate or agree with as your parent, but I have this kind of bird's eye perspective of you and your life, where I'm looking at how this is going to play out over time, not just how it feels in the immediate, but if this lifestyle continues, like, what is that going to do to you? And how is that going to affect your beliefs and opinions of yourself? And I can't really allow a lifestyle that is going to just teach you and reinforce all of these shame based beliefs, all of these negative beliefs that are not going to serve you throughout your life. And so setting some limits and boundaries, offering, them to choose, for example, what kinds of activities they want to be in, but saying, like, you're going to be in something, drawing a line, creating a limit.
Hey parents, I hope you found today's video helpful. I want to take a second to just guide you towards a few additional resources. The first is a free private Facebook group for parents who are supporting a daughter through depression and anxiety. This is a Facebook group that I run, and it's a place where you'll find a sense of community among other parents who are walking in similar shoes. The second is a free masterclass that I recently did, which will walk you through the process of how to best support your daughter. And the third is my Path to Peace Parenting Coaching Program, which is a parent coaching program and a community of parents that work with me directly, and I'm helping them optimize their parental approach, become the best support and guide for helping their daughter through depression and anxiety. So if that is of interest to you, you can find the link to the application in the description, and you can find the links to each of these in the description as well.
Thank you for watching the video. Again, I hope it's helpful. Please leave comments as you start to apply the material here, and let me know how it's going. And hopefully you'll come back and see me again.